heading up into Kashmir. This is what a lot of the roads look like, heading up into the Himalayas, from Nepal to India to Pakistan. They're chiseled out of the sides of these cliffs. You know, there's wrecked vehicles down in the rivers and on the banks, and a lot of times you're just like, God, that wasn't us. And you know, people are hanging all over the outsides of these things, and there's funny signs like everywhere. Like,
We are.
you know. And it does happen. Like, shit happens. It's the bumper sticker. This was a gas truck. If I panned up right now, if this was video, you could see this is a gasoline truck. It's kind of scary. Then you're on the road, so then you're actually, this is on the approach now. You start to run into some really cool stuff. You're packing and unpacking and packing and unpacking. You're getting rid of stuff, adding stuff even then. Then you're like out in these trails. This is on the Indo-Tibetan, the old Indo-Tibetan trade route that goes from India into Tibet on the far eastern edge of India. Going up towards Nanda Devi, the highest peak in India. Amazing valleys. We hiked up this trail for 7 days. It was like Tolkien. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And the names of the villages were very Tolkien-esque. It was like Lilam and Bagdwar and places like that. And they were real places. It was amazing. And this is on the other side of India, over towards Pakistan. So run into things that you have to cross and make your way, Tyroleans, waterfalls. I thought that was pretty funny. That was, you know, obviously someone didn't think highly of the intention here. The box was left on the side of the road. You run into funny things everywhere. This is in France. Micah thought it was really funny. Sport climbers hang out. Micah sent out a big email. That wasn't my joke, that was his. Then you run into boulders like this that haven't been seen before, and you're like, oh my God, this is perfect. The finger cracks all over this thing. This is in Kashmir this summer, this last summer with Micah. Heading into Patagonia here with Steve Sue, the guy who had that glove formed into a finger. This was a 24-mile round trip. We had to do 4 trips to get all of our gear into base camp. So this is like, you know, in a lot of places in the world you're actually having help, you're having oxen, or you're having people help you. But in this place, in Patagonia, it's one of the most grueling places to set up a base camp anywhere, because unless you have horses, you're actually hiking all this stuff in yourself, so it's a lot of weight. This is back in Kashmir. I think that's an unclimbed 6,500 or 6,500 meter peak in the background. You can't see the top of it. There's Mike on a boulder. This was base camp. Mike Penning's from K7 back in the day, and Sarah Thompson bouldering at base camp near Nanda Devi, bouldering, Kashmir. So the boulders are one thing that's always present, unless it's not at base camps around the world. And so it's really fun to get there and acclimatize by bouldering and kind of feeling like, oh yeah, we still have some fitness, you know, from cragging and all that stuff we were doing. And you know, just seeing it dwindle as you kind of like have to do all this travel and waiting for weather and things like that. So you're really excited if you can find some good bouldering near your camp or on the approach to camp. So this is Patagonia. Steve and I spent, you know, after ferrying all of our loads out in this beautiful valley, we spent a whole month out here through Thanksgiving, like a year and a half ago, and we got completely shut down by weather. But we had a great time in this little beech tree forest, bouldering on granite blocks. You know, you run into the history of places. This is in Chamonix. It's a very historic graveyard. All sorts of explorers, mountaineers, climbers, guides have all been buried here. There's a long list. This is up in Leh, Ladakh. This is a over 1,000-year-old monastery, hand-carved Buddhas. These are pots Mike and I found at this base camp. We were bouldering in the middle of nowhere, not a scrap of evidence of human travel. And I came out of this one cave looking for some boulder problems, and Micah thought I'd seen a ghost, and I'd actually seen these 2 big, huge vessels upside down. They look like these alien pods. And I just told him, come over, you gotta check these out. And we picked them up, and they were They're about 2 feet in diameter. They're amazing. So I don't know if they were made in China. We put them back. They're there.
Nice.
We don't even know where they're from. Those were coin impressions from who knows what age, but they're still in there. Kashmiri horsemen, you run into some amazing people. These are the ancestors of some nomadic people that actually roam up and down this valley. Dougal McDonald, who's here, actually gave me a book of a guy who spent a couple of years living with those people. And these are the folks that actually decided to settle down, but their ancestors still roam all the way over the border into China or Tibet, not China, back. So it's pretty impressive, and they still have kind of a combination of relics. You know, some of them are Islamic, and some of them are Tibetan Buddhist, like that bell. So it's really cool to see the cross-cultural evidence of these people evolving. And then you get the Indian military up here at 13,500 feet playing volleyball, beach volleyball. This is over near Srinagar. So this whole section here is the approach. So when you're on these climbs, one of my favorite parts is just this travel. I mean, you see things that you didn't think existed, you didn't know they existed, and maybe you can't even believe that they exist. This has been happening for 1,000 years, this floating market in Srinagar. And there's farms up valley, and every single day at 5 in the morning, I went down here at 5 in the morning to see this thing happening. All these guys come down on these longboats with massive piles of vegetables. They come down and they sell all their vegetables for half price, and then as soon as it ends at 6 o'clock, all those veggies go to the street markets for double price. Nice. So it's a really cool, it's really neat to see how that trade works down there and see these people that have been doing it for thousands of years. This is an old tandoori grill. They put bread down in there. This is basically a bread kitchen. I'm sure that kid right there is going to be sitting right there as soon as his granddad passes on. It's just this cycle. It's something we don't have here. So getting shaved by a guy up towards Nandi Devi, over near Nepal actually. This is Gabriel actually getting shaved right there. This is a wedding up on the border of Tibet and China. And you can see you can see that it's a combination of a Muslim wedding and a traditional Tibetan Buddhist wedding. So it's really amazing. This crowd was a mix of people, and so you had the silk scarves, but you also had the traditional Muslim attire. So it was a neat mix. This is up on that one Indo-Tibetan trade route. So this is that Tolkien land I was talking about. These girls were at the trailhead going to school. This is Dharamsala, India. Hardwar.
Are those monkeys?
They are.
Nice.
Would you like to pet one?
I would.
You can pet Kelly Cordes' monkey. Unless you can. This is a Buddhist monk hitting a drum. That's his drumstick vibrating. That's me. Yeah, that's a nylon on my head, a women's nylon. They had a pile of them at the door. This is the White Temple. It's the Sikhs, one of the Sikhs' holiest temples. The Golden Temple is the holiest. This is the White Temple, the second holiest, and this is the leader of the White Temple in the front. Now, if that's not Tolkien-esque, I don't know what it is. Anyway, I was standing there. They're like, you got to put this nylon on your head to come in. Okay. Tell me what I need to do. I'll be there. Wheat farmers. Solid people. You can tell. Heading back in. This is Patagonia again. But anyway, the road is long, right? You approach. We still have to get there. We're not even to the climb yet. What time is it? Holy crap.
Keep going.
All right, we got to end. Okay. Anyway, you see some pretty cool landscapes too, and the natural environment is just as impressive as the cultural environment. And forgot to drop in some animal. Well, I got the monkeys, but I was thinking like flamingos and all sorts of other stuff. I just thought about it on the drive down 93. It's over. We're into the snow already. We're up high. There's no more animals. We're heading to the peaks. Now all those sensations of being up there, thinking about those mountains, being, like on the crags in Eldo or the Black, now you're starting to see them for the first time. You're like, oh my God, all that's coming flooding back. Are we trained? Have we spent too much time getting there? What are we going to pull it off? These massive things, like there's too much stuff going on. There's wind, there's weather, there's big loose stuff, there's seracs hanging, there's avalanches, there's, slopes that are melting by the day, like this one, in fact. Steve, Sue, and I were trying to do the first ascent on that face on the right where the clouds are all socked in. We're going to try to climb up that. It's a 5,000-foot face in Patagonia. And there's such an extreme transition between summer and spring that the approach hike, this 2,000-foot glacial approach, we thought was a glacier, melted out in 2 weeks, and it was a solid rock wall. There was only 2 feet of snow. We thought it was like 20 fathoms deep, and it was 2 feet deep, and it just all slid right off, and we're like, holy crap, we've been climbing up this, 4 times already, and it just melted away. We couldn't even do the same approach. It was down below the clouds that you can see there. It was really, really wild. This is Kelly Cordes and I in the Ruth Gorge a couple years ago, going to climb on some things down there. This is up in Kashmir. Micah Dash and I climbed the first ascent of that mountain there, called the Shafat Fortress. There he is, gearing up in the morning. This is Josh Wharton and I in Patagonia. You can see the Fitzroy in the background. Amazing plug of rock. Actually, that route on the right there, that beautiful long, like one of the longest, raddest rock routes in Patagonia for sure. Mike and Jimmy Hayden did this last year, just off the couch. It was one of the most impressive things I've heard of. I mean, both those guys were working, and they just flew down there, and the weather window started on the flight down, and they punched out the royal flush. I mean, that went right up that thing. That's mind-boggling. Steve Sis up in Canada this last year, going up for some mixed climbing. So then you're there. You're actually there, and all these things that you were thinking about, maybe they weren't true, maybe your preconceived notions were true. And you're looking at these things, you're like, all right, we got to give it our best shot now. And witch the line, pull out the binoculars, try to scope out what you want to do. And it's very exciting. It's an exciting time. You're starting to plan out exactly what you're going to put in your pack, and down to the bar, down to the battery, down to the whatever it is. No sleeping bag, maybe a sleeping bag, maybe one thing, not two. Heading out over glacier. This is heading up to the base of the Shafat Fortress. It's Kelly Cordes and I up on Going Monk, this route we did down in Going Monk? Yeah, Alaska. And just climbs. This is a Circuit of the Unclimbables with Josh on Crevassus. Actually, Jim McCarthy's down here. He did the first ascent of this route, and Josh and I did the first reascent, so that's a pretty nice historic thing. Oh yeah. So I had this thing. This is what you feel like when you're pulling something off that you think like, oh my God, I feel like this isn't how it should be done, or this isn't how I was trained to be done, or no, like what are we doing? Are we crazy? You feel like a kid pulling something off. That you shouldn't be.
Och det teknisk designing och Martin som börjar bli färdig med midget. Det är bra. Och då kommer vi till Ja, jag måste extra batteri då. Henrik!